Hi there, this is Katherine. I'm going to be making a Slimline card today using a scallop Slimline set from LDRS Creative and a Gnomes stamp set from the Stamps of Life. I also will be using a stencil from Waffle Flower. I think it's called the Grass Scene Stencil, and I found it in my craft stash. I have not used it yet. So when you take it out, it has clouds that are already cut out, so you can use them to create clouds. Also, you'll notice that I'm pulling apart the grass. There's a piece that's cut out, and if you just gently kind of work it out, you'll have an edge that you can use, so you can do on the top of cards and on the bottom of cards. So that's kind of cool. And then they're also, where the clouds were, you have the cutouts, so you can use those 4 clouds to mask on a card. And there's a top and a bottom, so I'm gonna work on pulling those 2 pieces out. They're cut very well, very thick, high quality, very sturdy for stenciling. So you can see I'm gonna get those ready. For the card, I've got some Bristol cardstock that I cut from that outer stitch die. I used the smooth Bristol, and I'll link to everything in there in my description. And then I also made the frame, the scalloped frame, which I love so much. That is from Spearmint. And again, I will link all of these products in the description. So I'm going to use some gnomes for sure. And then I'm going to tape down my stencil on the bottom. It's not obviously a slimline stencil, it's for a standard A2 size card, but you can still use it. You just have to move it over. That's all it takes. It's pretty simple. And so I'm gonna use my Mowed Lawn Distress ink on the bottom of this. Just do a real quick stenciling of it. I'm going to move my stencil down, trying not to get any ink anywhere. I could have cleaned it between, but sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. So you just kind of roll with it. So I've got that done. And then I don't have any of the pixie spray, that removable, positionable kind of spray, I guess. I don't have any of that yet. So I just used some tape, some repositionable purple tape that I used to glue down my dies, and I'm just going to kind of hold this down as well to make sure it doesn't move. And I'm going to stencil around with some Tumbled glass, also distress ink, because it works pretty well in blending on Bristol cardstock. I've got my 3rd cloud that I'm just going to place that where I want it to go and add a little bit more. It's a little hard to see in the video. You can see the clouds. I didn't make it the darkest, because honestly, in my mind, I want to cover up a little bit of the background. Actually, probably a lot of the background. So I'm not spending too much time on that. You'll still be able to see a little bit of the clouds. Just kind of creates your scene. So right here, I realize that I didn't pay attention and make my grass tall enough. So when I put the spearmint green frame on there, you cannot see the grass as well. So I'm going to fix this by going back and stenciling another layer with a lighter color. I believe this is Twisted Citron, I think. Also distress ink. So I'm going to blend that in. And it's kind of one of those happy accidents that you have in crafting, where something doesn't work out the first time, so you just kind of have to make it something else. But it actually ended up being pretty cool, making this extra dimension and interest. So now I've stamped 2 of my gnomes, and I am just going to color these with my Copics. I've got several shades of green, and I am just going to color those and fill that in. I've got a darker green that I'm going to use for the feet and for the hat. So just doing a really quick and simple coloring. I'm not really doing any shading. or anything like that. You can spend as much time as you want coloring on something. I'm just keeping this pretty simple. I've got to stamp on my second one. I wanted to use this little tiny shamrocks from Shamrock Stamps from Stamps of Life. There was this little trio of stamps, and then there's a little bit larger one. I've got some green, kind of lime green ink. I'm going to stamp that hat, another spot. And then for the last one, after making sure it's cleaned off pretty good, I'm going to mask with some Post-it notes and then peel that off because I only wanted that little tiny shamrock stamped on the top. So that was just a quick and easy way to make a shamrock hat to keep in theme with this card. So again, I'm going to go back to doing some more coloring with my greens, and I'll have all those linked in the description, what the colors are. And then I'm also taking a C2 marker, Copic marker. Any light gray would be great. I'm just doing a really, really quick flick of my marker to add a little bit of interest. Again, not spending tons of time. And then I'm going to work on my skin tones, just coloring the nose and the hands. And I'll have to finish the feet on my second gnome. I realized I forgot to color his feet. So I'll go back with my darker green, which is a nice contrast to the lighter green. And then that's it on that. So I'm going to glue down my frame now. I'm ready to work on assembling my card now that I have my gnomes stamped, colored, and then I die cut them off screen, but they're ready to go. So I'm going to add some of my liquid adhesive and line this up. Works pretty easily since they're both die cuts. And then I'm going to lay out where I want my gnomes to go. I have added some foam dimensionals to the back. I'm going to glue those down so those are popped up a little bit. And then I found in my craft stash this beautiful Wish Big die from Paper Tray Ink. I've had this for years. I'm not sure if it's still available, but it's a great size and I love the font. So I'm gluing that down. I didn't pop that up because it's just so fine and there's not a shadow die with it. I also pulled out some dies from Paper Smooches. They have these little small balloons. I'm not sure if they're still available, but I'm going to ink up the edges of 3 of the balloons to add a little contrast on the background. I'm going to add some more foam dimensionals to the back, and then I will start adding those. I'm going to put the heart one down at the bottom next to my first gnome, and then I will add the other 2 on the opposite sides. So then I'm going to glue this all onto a card base. I used my Slimline die from the Stamps of Life, which cuts a card base, and I love it, love it, love it. It makes for super quick Slimline work, and this set fits it perfectly. So that's going to be it for this one. I am going to add a little bit of shimmer to my card. It will be kind of hard to see, but I've got a shimmer pen from Nuvo, and it's kind of a silver color when it dries. It's a little hard to see in the video because it's wet, but it just adds a little extra something. If you've watched me for a minute, you know I always like to add glitter or sparkle shine wherever I can. So that's it on this card. So I've got a gnome St. Patrick's Day inspired birthday card. So if you enjoyed watching, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like and share. I'm enjoying making these videos, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Have a great day.